Hello everybody, welcome to chapter 4 of Bereishit as we travel through Tanach. Chapter 4 is comprised of 26 verses in the Koren Sachs Chumash. It's found on page 31, and it is a gripping chapter indeed. It tells us the story of the first parents who have children, and we read about the first child in the world, Cain, and then the second, Hevel, translated as Abel usually. We learn about the first professions in the world, a shepherd and a farmer. We learn about the first competition in the world, 2 offerings to God, only one of which gets accepted, leading to Cain performing the first murder in the world. So it's truly a chapter of firsts. We will then read about how he gets punished by being forced to wander about, although he is granted divine protection that he won't be killed. We'll then read about how humanity continues to develop, and the Torah will list the descendants of Cain, as well as the birth of Seth, of Sheth, born to Adam and Eve. So with that in mind, let's turn our attention to chapter 4, verse 1. V'ha'adam yada es Chava ishto. The man, Adam, knew his wife Chava. Yada, that word of knowing is implying that they are intimate. Vatahar vateled es Cain, and she conceived and gave birth to Cain. Vatomer, and she said, Kanisi ish es Adonai. She said, with the Lord's help I have made a man. You see, in Judaism, every name is significant. Every name means something very deep. Every name is connected and represents the essence of that individual. And as we go through this chapter and subsequent chapters in which we learn about names, it's always important to give some thought as to what their names actually mean. Verse 2, Vatosef laledes es achiv es Havel. She gave birth to his brother Hevel, Abel. That phrase, Vatosef laledes, is interpreted in a number of ways, but one of the interpretations is that this wasn't the only child that she had, but actually she continuously gave birth to more and more people and was populating the world. That being said, we continue. Vayehi Hevel ro'et son. The Torah tells us what his profession was. Hevel became a shepherd. The Cain haya oved adama, and Cain became a worker of the land. Verse 3, Vayehi miketz yamim. Time passed. After a period of time, Vayave Cain mipriha adama mincha ladonai. And Cain decides that he is going to bring an offering to Hashem. Cain, it says, brought fruit of the land. Verse 4, Vehevel hevi gamhu mibechoros sono umechel vehen. And Hevel also brought an offering, but he brought from the first of his flock and from his choicest possessions. Vayisha Adonai el Hevel ve'el minchaso. And Hashem looked favorably at Hevel's offering, ve'el Cain ve'el minchaso lo sha'a. And upon Cain and his offering, he did not look with favor. Vayichar leCain ma'od vayiplu panav. Cain became very angry, and his face looked fallen. Vayomer Adonai el Cain, verse 7, and Hashem said to Cain, Lama charalach, why are you angry? V'lama naflu fanecha, why the long face? Halo im teitiv se'es, ve'im lo seitiv la pesach chatas roveit. Hashem said, if you act well, will you not be afflicted? Hashem says, surely if you improve yourself, you will be forgiven. But if you don't improve yourself, then sin rests at your door. It longs to have you, but you must rule over it. Verse 8, Vayomer Cain el Hevel achiv. Cain said to his brother Hevel, Vayehi biosam basadeh, and when they were in the field, Vayakam Cain el Hevel achiv vayahagehu. Cain rose up against his brother Hevel and killed him. And if you read the deeper sources about what is going on here with the first ever murder, there are some exciting things to learn about. One that I can recall is the number of ways in which he was trying to inflict wound on his brother, and the number of ways that he was trying to bring about death because no one had ever done it before. Verse 9, Vayomer Adonai el Cain, so Hashem says to Cain, Ei Hevel achicha, where is your brother Hevel? Trying to encourage him to take responsibility for his actions. Vayomer, and he said, Lo yadati, I do not know. Hashomer achi anochi, am I my brother's keeper? Verse 10, Vayomer me'asisa, and he said, what have you done? Kol dmei achicha tzoakim elai min ha'adama. The voice of your brother's blood cries out to me from the land. Verse 11, now he's going to be punished. Va'ata arur ata. Now you are going to be cursed. Min ha'adama asher patzasa es piha, more so than the land that has opened its mouth. Lakachas es dmei achicha miadecha, to receive your brother's blood from your hand. Ki savores adama, when you work the land, lo sosef teis kochalach, it will no longer grant you its powers. Na vanad tihieh va'aret, you will be a fugitive wanderer over the land. Verse 13, Vayomer Kain el Adonai, Kain said to Hashem, Gadol avoni minso, you are giving me a punishment that I just cannot bear. Verse 14, Hein gerashta osi hayom me'al panei ha'adama, you have banished me today from the face of the land, umi panecha esaser, and from your face too I will be hit. V'hayisi na vanad ba'aretz, I will be a fugitive wanderer over the land. V'hayachol motzi hageni, and whoever finds me will kill me. So verse 15, Vayomer lo Adonai, Hashem said back to him, Lachein kol horeg Kain shivasayim yukam, whoever kills Kain will suffer vengeance 7 times over. Vayasem Adonai leKayin os. So Hashem put a mark on Kain, levilti hakos oso kol matzo, so that anyone who found him would know not to kill him. Verse 16, Vayetze Kain milifnei Adonai. So Kain departs from Hashem's presence. Vayeshev be'eretz Nod kidmas Eden, and lived in the land of Nod, east of Eden. Verse 17, Vayeda Kain es ishto, and Kain is intimate with his wife. Vatahar vateled es Chanoch, and she conceived and gave birth to Chanoch. Vayhi bona ir, he built a city. Vayikra shem ha'ir keshem beno Chanoch, and he named it Chanoch after his son. Verse 18, Vayivaled lachanoch es Irad. Chanoch had a son, Irad. Irad yolad es Mechuyael, and Irad had a son, Mechuyael. Mechuyael yolad es Mesushael, and Mechuyael had a son, Metushael. Mesushael yolad es Lamech, and Mesushael had a son, Lemech. Verse 19, Vayikach lo Lemech shtei nashim. Lemech married 2 women. Shem ha'achas Ada, the first was called Ada. The Shem ha'shenis Tzila, the second was called Tzila. Verse 20, Vateled Ada es Yaval. Ada gave birth to Yaval. Who haya avi Yoshev ohel nikneh. He was the first person to live in tents and raise livestock. Verse 21, V'shem achiv Yuval. His brother's name was Yuval. Who haya avi kol tofes kino v'ugav. He was the first person to play musical instruments. He played the harp and the flute. Verse 22, V'tzila gam hi yalda es Tuval Kayin. Tzila also had a son called Tuval Kayin. Lotesh kol choresh nechoshes uvarzel. He made the first weaponry. He forged things out of bronze and iron, and he was the first person to invent weapons. Va'achos Tuval Kayin Naamah, and the sister of Tuval Kayin was called Naamah. Naamah is an important person. She goes on to become the wife of Noach. Verse 23, Vayomer Lemech lenashav. Lemech said to his wives, Ada v'tzila sheman koli. Ada and Tzila, listen to my voice. Neshei Lemech, wives of Lemech, ha'azena imrasi, heed my words. Ki ish haragti lefitzi, v'yele lechaburasi. I killed a man for wounding me, and killed a boy for bruising me. Verse 24, Ki shivasayim yukam Kayin, v'Lemech shivim v'shiva. If Kain will be avenged 7 times, then Lemech will be avenged 77. Verse 25, Vayeda Adam od es ishto, and Adam was intimate again with his wife, Vateled Bain, and she gave birth to a son, Vatikra es Shemo Shes, and named him Shes, or Seth. Ki shasli Elohim zera acher, because God granted me another child, Tachas Hevel, in place of Hevel, Ki harago Kain, because Kain had killed him. Finally, verse 26, Ulashes gamhu yulad ben. Shais also has a son, Vayikra es Shemo Enosh, and he named him Enosh as Huchal Likra b'Shem Adonai. And that was when people began to pray in the name of Hashem. And it's fascinating, as we see in this chapter, and as we'll see in the next couple of chapters as well, the descent of morality as we head towards the generation of the flood. It's all happening in these verses over here. This is all indicating the decline from generation to generation. And that's it for chapter 4. I look forward to seeing you for chapter 5, where we will list the 10 generations between Adam and Noach and all of the many long lives that these people lived. And then finally, as we get to chapter 6, we will reach the end of Parshat Bereishit, start to see the spiritual decay that existed at the time and the reason why Hashem needed to bring a flood, which we read about in the Parsha of Noach, which really starts towards the end of Bereishit with chapter 6. In the meantime, have a wonderful and meaningful day.